p.m. Come and have a one-on-one with some of our best psychiatrists. Free giveaways, school supply, wheelchair, walkers, diapers, food packages, refreshment, live performance from Diamond Leah, Bounty Hawk Trelawney, August 12th. For more info, call 876-326-0586 or 876-840-3619. See you there.
Me, I do this with tears, man. If you're listening to the pain, come over.
Small and medium-sized business owners, promote your business on Fit FM Business Ballout. Call our sales office today at 876-377-3442 or 876-317-1991. Don't be left out. Promote your business on Fit FM Business Ballout.
Saturdays at 4 p.m. Join Fit FM 96.7 FitFMJ8.com for a simulcast of Primal Sports, an interactive sports program produced by Primal Media and presented by top sports activists. So tune in to a simulcast of Primal Sports on Fit FM 96.7 FitFMJ8.com and Primal4K.com.
Get your day started right with the Morning Connection. Weekday mornings, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on Fit FM 96.7. Connect with Julia Mikkel Benaya on the Morning Connection for news, business and artist promotions, great music and vibe. Morning Connection with Julia Mikkel Benaya, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekdays on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
This is Lady G, Denise Gomez, host and producer of Inside the Zone in New York, the community platform where information is guaranteed. Join me on Mondays at 5 on Fit 96.7, FitFMJA.com, Trelawney's Radio, your life, your music, for exciting features within the diaspora. And hear what's on our minds. It's live at 5 on Fit 96.7, FitFMJA.com.
Blessings and light. This is Aymara, the musical revolutionary. Your host and the community buzz on the Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. This and every Monday at 3 p.m. From the home to the community to the wider world. Let us be the change we want to see. Join me this and every Monday at 3 p.m. on the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. Fit mind, fit body, fit community, fit world. This is Aymara, the musical revolutionary on the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
Before God and all mankind, I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the wisdom and courage of my mind, the strength and vigor of my body in the service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race.
Struggle goes on. We are the builders of the pyramids. We are the builders of the stone cities of Zimbabwe. We build them White House. We build them factories. With blood, with sweat, with tears. With flesh, with bones. Them use to build them economy. Now them want to con you and me with them science and them technology. We make them take with knowledge. Now them are deafly. Them are blindly. We are walk, we are ride, we are drive, we are fly. Nah look, nah see. Eyes focus on the screen of an iPhone, Galaxy, tablet, Blackberry. Wake up, look. You know, sister, them are buried with. Ancestors crying out. Them are weak, you see, we heading back to slavery. Robotic, digital, technological slavery. The rich take them session, call it recession, left the world in depression. Legal and illegal drugs and alcohol on the rise. In their interests, to our demise we patronize, now become marginalized, make fools seem wise, because we abide them lies and sell with light, prostituting our sons, daughters and wives. Marcus did rise, Sam Sharp did rise, Book did rise, Taki did rise, Queen and Zinga did rise, Harriet Tubman rise, Rosa Parks rise. Yes, we're rising, you know, we ancestors rise and we continue to rise. Grand afternoon, this is Imara, the musical revolutionary, on the Community Buzz and Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. Yes, we are on the World Wide Web, www.fitfmja.com. And we are also smallcasting on primal4k.com. Yes, today is Monday, the 24th of what? July. See, in 2023, we are going down, you know, or going out, or going up, or whichever way we want to, you know, define it, you know what I mean? But we are going, you know, and this is how life is. We keep going, you know. We come and we continue to go and go and go and go, expand until, you know, we take different forms and shape into something else, but we are forever. See, we are thankful to be here, you know, and we always say we are rich, you know what I mean? Rich that we can't even explain or define the kind of riches that we have. But life is infinitely beautiful. I am life. That's the reality. So we give thanks for this day, and we're going to have a very, very interesting program today. You know, we're going to talk to Nana Akua. Seeing Nana Akua, right? Seeing from over there in Ghana. Yes, we're going to talk to her, you know, and we give thanks. She's a Trelawny native, you know. But we are going to allow her to introduce herself properly when she comes on. You know what I mean? Yes, me a try and I come through from Clarendon, I come through the hills of St. Anne's. And when I reach around one place near St. Dacres, no Fit FM that up at St. Dacres, continue into one place where we call name Rivers Fort. Me I say wait. St. Dacres. You know St. Dacres? Up there, your band? See there. And that's so your station, and that's so fit there. We are up there, so I mean, so I say we. So we are big up the people up at Alexandria because see there, we around there, so you know what I mean. So me I say, what is this happening around here? You know what I mean? Fit FM. So we are far and wide, you know what I mean. So we are blessed up all the people in and around Jamaica who tune in to the 96.7 FM, Fit FM, you understand? To the world. So we give thanks for that and know that, you know. So we are blessed up all of them people who tune in and listen, you understand? Alexandra, all of them people of us. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful vibes, you know. when you're a driver, you know, say, oh, you hear your station, and you know, people are tuning in. Love and light for that, yes. So we are here, and as we say liberation over education. And we mean that. And the reason why we say liberation over education is because we know, say, a lot of us have been lost and trying to find our way back. And we can't find our way back through colonial education. It will never happen. You understand? And that's the reality. And if you want to contest that, you can, but it's the truth. You know, when we look into the whole situation, we realize, you know, the people who know themselves are the people who are liberated before being indoctrinated by colonial education. Because from the time you come out of your mother womb, even from your mother womb, you have been indoctrinated by the same thing, because your mother did never know, since she and her ancestors was ripped out of the womb of Africa and come to these shores. You understand? It was something else. As our great revolutionary father said, education for underdevelopment. If you understand what Walter Rodney said so. So, though you believe that you were being educated, it was for your underdevelopment and not your development. It was for and the interest of those who want to expand their position in the world. So they designed that education and give it unto you. You understand? So we say liberation over education. When you know yourself, you formulate and you chart your own course. You design something that will uplift you, that will guide you to your higher self. You understand? And that is what we are saying when we say liberation over education. That's what we mean. Because the liberated man is a holistic man. The liberated man is a conscious man of his origin, himself, where he is and where he's going. He not really try to find anything else, because he already know who he is. And that's the reality. See, that's the reality. And when we are saying them things, we are taught them things from experience. We are taught them things from where our ancestors, you know what I mean, develop their consciousness and could stand on their own without, you know, the system directing them. Saying, if you have been directed by the system through their system of education, then you can say, my education will guide me to liberation. Get the education we have was designed for you to think a particular kind of way. If you think differently now, and as I said, those who received the colonial education and expanded on it to liberate themselves, they were all murdered. And some of them marginalized and victimized over the years, you know. So we understand that with certain clarity, you know what I mean? So we are going to talk to a sister who, you know, gone through the system, but find herself in a Ghana right now, right? And well, in her own, and she's going to share some deep things, you know, about her trad and our experience, you know, our experiences, because it's many experience. So, you know what I mean? So we are waiting to talk to her. We soon tune in and call her in and thing, you know. One, bless up the people them over there in England, you know, bless up the people them who tune in from London, or people them over Europe, any part of Europe you are. One, bless up my brethren Pablo, you know, for that invite, you know. I'll bless up the sister Arlene from Rasta Village, and those, that delegation from Wales. Recently we had a nice discussion at Ras Pablo place with some people from Wales, you know, and we see where people are interested in Jamaica culture, you know what I mean? And they will come far, you know, from far and wide, just to come and experience what we have to share, you know, especially the Rasta culture, especially our struggle, and to see how we survive. And they are always amazed of who we are and how we have been through so much and to come to this point. So we give thanks for that invitation, my brethren, Pablo. And as usual, we big up the people in the market, big up Mr. Lyons, seeing for the great food that you always a supplier and I with, whether it be sweet potato, watermelon, pumpkin, because yes, the farmers them up in the hills, we have to always salute them, because if I know, we're dead for hungry. Enough people are struggling right now, can't even find food for eat, So we have to salute, the farmers and the vendors that were out, that are out there, making sure, the food reach I and I. Although food very expensive, $400 a pound for yellow yam, but I tell you, we still have to support, and the money, even though they come with some new money, I know, and I tell you, say you can, but them pretty and then slippery. Pretty and slippery as them come in and just slide out back. Because them only pretty, but they don't have no value. So we have to look into these things, and this world of inflation, and we have to start to wake up and realize that we need to take charge of ourselves as people. We need to liberate ourselves from this economic slavery that we are under. Coming together and live harmoniously, that we can chart our way through life, So we bless up the people in England, we bless up the people in South America, we bless up the people in North America listening to us on Fit FM, and we bless up the people over Primal Media, give thanks for tuning in and, logging in. We bless up Naima, we bless up Joel, yes man, because it's the movement, one movement, So we want to touch a piece of music, seeing before we get to Sister Nana Akua, saying, and this is for Mama Africa. Yes, Mama Africa. How are you doing, Mama? Saying, and we give thanks.
I am well. Greetings from West Africa.
How are you
from the motherland?
How are you doing,
I am well,
Mama?
You're
well. And when we say Mama Africa, you are Mama Africa, as well, right?
Yeah, man. In fact, I've been called that so many times that I will gladly accept.
I see. Yes, I am so happy to have you here on this radio station, Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. Yes, and we are on the World Wide Web, www.fitfmja 4k.com. We are also simulcasting on Primal Media 4k.com. So we are worldwide. So you're speaking to the world today. My sister.
I'm honored to be here.
Yes.
I must first apologize for any connection issues. If at any point the call is dropped, having some network issues here as usual.
Well, if it drop, we catch you back. See?
All right, no problem.
Yeah, so that is it. We understand what is happening. See, I'm looking on your small bio. We realize that you come from Upper Trelawney, a place named Litchfield, and now you are speaking to us from Ghana. Just give us a rundown on how you reach Ghana from Litchfield, Trelawney.
From Litchfield.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was born in the beautiful parish of Trelawney in the farming district of Litchfield in Trelawney. And I am so, Trelawney, being born in that community has made me who I am today. Yes. So I am so proud to be from Litchfield. However, I left Litchfield as a youngster and went to live in Clarendon. And then from there, I went to live with my father in the US. And from the US, I started traveling all over the world. And then currently I'm settled between New York and Ghana. So I go back and forth currently. But Ghana is home. Africa is home.
Wow.
How did I start? How did I end up in Ghana? Growing up, as you know, growing up in Jamaica, I was always told that we were descendants of Ashantis. So as I got older, I started researching further. And obviously, I always had a desire to come and see the motherland. So I started traveling by myself. And then subsequently, I started a company called Globetrotting Sisters. The aim of the company is to empower local communities and also to expose diasporans to the beauty that is Africa. Because I realized, unfortunately, a lot of our people are not enlightened about the continent. And so it is my duty, I feel it is my duty and it is my calling to expose them to that which is. And in doing so, I've also had people who have ended up living on the continent as a result of me exposing them to Mother Africa.
Great. Now, you say empower local communities or people who travel with you to Africa. When you say empower, just expand on that a little, that we can understand.
So what I mean is that I only work with local vendors, and the main goal is sustainable tourism, and I practice collective economics. So my goal is to ensure that I help to empower local women, other Black women, other Black men and women all over the world. So for example, when one comes to Ghana, we ensure that your money stays within certain community to help to build and to grow. For example, there are communities here, such as where they highly depend on foreign currencies. Mm-hmm. And so what we're trying to do is to help those communities to sustain themselves. You understand? So, for example, something as simple as a tailor or a seamstress, mm-hmm. that, you know, we would work with somebody like that to give them work. So we bring people here, they give them, you know, we provide them with work so they can sustain themselves. That's an example. Or somebody who might own a property. Yes. Or somebody might own farmland. Mm-hmm. So things like that.
Yes. Collective economics.
Yes. And as it relates to enlightening our people. So the people who travel with me are diasporans, Afro-Caribbean, mostly African Americans. And so the idea is to let them see the beauty that is our culture, African culture, because many of it have been stripped from us as a result of the transatlantic slave and colonialization. So it is my goal to ensure that they see a lot of what is being taught or not being taught leave our people very with a lot of preconceived notions about the continent. So it is imperative that we learn, that we unlearn and learn and relearn.
Great, great. I love the term collective economics, right? And when we look on the economic system of the world and see how we as Black people have been trapped into a system that most thing that comes into us go back to those who are our exploiters, right? And how is the economic structure there in Ghana? Is it something or something new that you're bringing there? You know, when you talk about collective economics,
so
because yeah, but finish this. Because,
so the first question is, how is the economic structure here? So unfortunately, we are still dealing with the legacy of colonialism. That exists throughout Africa, period, with exceptions in places maybe like Ethiopia.
Wow.
But unfortunately, we are still dealing with that. So you will have like a lot of foreign investors investing in places in Africa or owning certain things in Africa or certain resources. What I try to do is only work with those that are indigenous to Africa, meaning my brothers and sisters. And so if you own a hotel, if you own a transportation company, whatever it is, I work with you, because working together collectively help us to be empowered overall.
Great. And as you talk about the whole thing of investors, we always hear that term there. And we are one that when we break it down, we realize it's purely exploitation. It's more extraction than investing, because they are taking out more than they are putting in. You know what I mean? You know, so
putting in,
yes. So,
and that has been the history. Yes. Unfortunately, Africa has been raped of its natural resources via enslavement and colonialism, and it continues to happen even after what is called post-colonialism, because now you have places like, for example, Zambia, where most of its natural resources are now owned by Chinese. Now in Ghana, it's not as it's not that bad, but you still have a lot of, for example, folks coming in from China and trying to own ownership or owned by the Ghanaian government or the Ghanaian people.
No, when I say,
it continues struggle,
because there's some, according to some story that I read before pertaining to Africa, that the land not really, you can't even sell the land, based on certain principle or certain ancient practice. So the Chinese who are there, putting in infrastructure, isn't it out of what we call a global economic communication, where them investing, putting in infrastructure, and it is for the benefit of the African, and over a period of time it would be turned over to the African, that them can manage it for themselves, because it is not like that. Is it that they totally own the resources? This is what I want to explain to the people.
So let me get a little deeper with that. And throughout Africa, what is happening? There is such a thing as predatory lending. Let me start with that, and that would make more sense to you. So what China is doing is going into African countries and giving them loans. Some African leaders have refused totally to deal with them, like Rwanda. or even in Kenya to a certain extent. So what they are doing is they are bringing in these loans, and in turn, it's called predatory lending because the loans essentially says they know they won't be able to pay for it, pay them back. Now, in the case that they cannot pay them back for these loans, then they end up forfeiting, and now they're in control of their natural resources, which is what happened in Zambia.
Wow.
So that is the root. So yes, as it relates to, let me expound on what you asked about the land now. Land essentially in Africa is normally owned by families or clans or chiefs.
Yes.
The chiefs are the one who own, but they can lease it for up to 50 years to non-citizens in Ghanaians and those who are citizens up to 99 years. However, as you know, even though that's the case, that does not stop folks from coming in and still trying to be stakeholders in Africa. And they're not doing it so that Africa can benefit. I've heard the argument time and time again that they're coming in to help Africa. No, if you look at the big picture, and Zambia is an example, when they could not pay back these loans that they gave to Zambia that was supposed to develop Zambia, what happened? They took control of all water supply, oil, anything that's natural. They were able to take control of that.
Wow.
Because those are the conditions of the loan. When you cannot pay back, then we can take over your natural resources. So that's what's going on throughout the continent. It's called predatory lending.
Wow. Now, my sister, recently I was talking, I made a post, and the post I made was liberation over education. And when I hear you now, this is what I am looking at. You know what I mean? These African leaders who are making these kind of deals, you know, that you would borrow some money, right? And these leaders are educated people. I could say so-called Western, nice, trained-minded people, right? How them find themselves in that situation? Why could not they process this or calculate? That is the point I want to.
Most African leaders were educated in the West. So they're coming back with that mindset, that capitalist mindset. But the very few who were not, or the very few who stand up against being controlled or being utilized as puppets, they are often taken out of the game, so to speak.
Wow.
Because you put it like this: the world depends on Africa to eat. Africa have all the natural resources that the rest of the world depend on, the West especially. So without Africa, they cannot survive. So it is therefore the West ensure that they do certain things to keep Africa at their needs. And then in doing so, a part of the process is to ensure you have leaders that you can control. That is why in cases like in Tanzania, when they could not control the former leader, they did certain things. Or previously in Zimbabwe, they had embargoes. They did everything to cripple the economy because the leader would not bow to the West.
And we must.
So there are various things at play why Africa is the way it is. So one would say, they're independent country. Yes, independent in the sense of the word, but when you look at it, there's still a lot of indirect rule. And so it's unfortunate. I would love to sit here and say, all has changed since African countries gained independence. That is not so. African countries are still grappling with the effects of and the legacy of colonialism and enslavement. And so there are Pan-Africanist groups all throughout who are fighting for Africans to be empowered and for the continent to be empowered. Will it happen in our lifetime? I don't know. But there's just a lot to be done. I think my grandmother always taught me that it can start with one person. I'm doing the little that I can from my end. And I think that if everybody come together with a mindset that we can make a difference, that then we can.
True. Yesterday, we're in a little politics, you know, which is very important because politics really have the kind of impact on people's lives all over the world, you know what I mean? And we need to get deep into it to understand how politics really operate and how it, you know, allow us to think and how to behave at the same time, because the behavior of our leaders right now, you realize that, you know, those who are in Africa, you know, you realize that they are functioning as highly paid slaves. You know what I mean? If you can make these kind of deal with other people outside, that is taking away the natural resources that you have, you know, and it is not just you as the immediate leader, but generation after generation after generation, you will be enslaving.
Mhm.
You understand? And if you couldn't learn from what took place, you know, 400 years ago and continue with it, is something very sad at this point. How is it that we are going to move forward pertaining to the kind of education? Because it means that we must find a way to decolonize the education system and formulate something that is more empowering. What do you think about that?
Yes, it starts first with education. Unfortunately, we still operate worldwide with colonial systems of education, whether it's in Jamaica, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Ghana, whether it's in South Africa. We are still operating, within the schools, the curriculum are based on what the colonizers want us to learn. And so with that kind of mindset, what kind of people are you breeding? Are you teaching our children to think independently, critically, to challenge the system? No, because you ensure that the whatever you left behind is still in place. For example, if you look at the legal systems in many of these African countries, they're still wearing those white ugly wigs on their head from colonial times. You understand what I mean? It is where they're gone, but they're not gone. You understand?
Gotcha.
And so until those changes are made, you know, Bob Marley talk about being mentally enslaved. A lot of our people are mentally enslaved because they have not been taught certain things. And so if you have a system that the system is based on colonial education, it's in a colonial educational system, then what do you think that they're going to be taught? So that's why you will even have leaders who they themselves are brainwashed. They themselves don't think like a Pan-Africanist. They themselves are not trained to think for the good of their people.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's much deeper than that.
Then we can find another Lumumba or Nyerere or Thomas Sankara and all of these revolutionaries. Exactly. You know? It's deep.
Exactly.
It's deep.
Do you know what is happening now? What is happening now in some schools even in the US? They are changing the curriculum so that they will teach children that slavery benefits those who were enslaved. They're in Ghana here, their slavery is rarely taught in schools. There are some Ghanaians who you will come across that they don't even know that it ever existed, unfortunately. And it took me coming here to realize that when you look at those slave dungeons across the coast, some of them don't know what they are because they were never taught. Now it's changing slowly. They're starting to teach it in school, and they're taking the children to these places so that they are informed about their history. But essentially the curriculum that they have is based on an English or an American system. And so it's not teaching them about the beauty that is Africa, the civilizations that we built, what existed pre-colonialism, pre-slavery. They're not being taught any of those things. And so you say to yourself, how can you breed a group of people who think for themselves critically and want to rise up and make Africa a nation that it should be? How do you get that from people that are not being taught who they are, where they come from, the great contributions they made to this world? Yeah. You understand?
True.
And so unfortunately, that, you would think after things would have changed a lot in Africa, but unfortunately, the legacy of colonialism and slavery is still very much evident. Yes.
All right, you're going to sister because we are full jolly, so we want it for sweet, that the people them can enjoy. We are going to go to a piece of music, and then when we come forward, we want you to tell us where exactly in Ghana you are right now, and some of the cultural practice. Me and you have a pre-interview yesterday. We want to go a little bit into what we talked about yesterday. You know what I mean? That people can get a full knowledge of the beauty of Africa and some of the practices and principles. So make we take a break and play a piece of music, Mama Africa again.
Okay.
This is Empress Naphtali from South Africa. Yeah.
Mama Africa is calling. Mystery Babylon is falling. Children of Zion answering. I Selassie I the one commanding. Mama Africa is calling. Mystery Babylon is falling. Children of Zion answering. I Selassie I the one commanding. Standing firm in his Armageddon ties. Never fret the unjust will pay for their crimes. Ancestral papers coursing through our veins. How mighty it is when Jah takes the reins. The separation implemented on the roots of humanity. We'll be champions after enduring the brutality. Propagating slavery. Even in this time of maternity, Mama Africa is calling. Mystery Babylon is falling. Children of Zion answering. Haile Selassie I the one commanding. Mama Africa is calling. Mystery Babylon is falling. Children of Zion answering. Haile Selassie I the one commanding. We remember who we are when we let go of who it is we were taught to be. By those who never really want our innate power to reign freely. Shine your light, shine it bright. Children of the Most High is our purest delight. Go through him, the shackles that have been imposed will be broken when Babylon is deposed. Mama Africa is calling. Mystery Babylon is falling. Children of Zion answering. Haile Selassie I the one commanding. Mama Africa.
Yes, that is Empress Naphtali from South Africa. Mama Africa is calling.
Yes.
Right, and we're talking to Sister Nana Akua, right, from Litchfield. Now she resides in Ghana. Now, my sister, I want you to tell us exactly where you are in Ghana now, right? And we are going to.
I currently reside in Accra. That is the main city in Ghana. I previously lived in the Ashanti region of Ghana in Kumasi, but I'm currently living in Accra. And I've been in Ghana now for about 5 years. I go back and forth between Ghana and the US. Ghana is home. And so one of the beautiful things about Ghana is the culture.
Yes.
And there are over 100 ethnic groups in Ghana. But I know mostly everyone always, especially diasporans, we always hear about Ashantis and Fantis. But there are over 100 ethnic groups. I don't use the word tribe because that is colonial. So when I speak of ethnic group, I'm speaking of the various different groups that exist in Ghana. Now, prior to colonialization, they were kingdoms. So the only remaining kingdom since colonization is the Ashanti Kingdom. So you still have a Ashantini, a king in the Ashanti region that governs. And I think he has visited Jamaica and other Caribbean islands that have close Ashanti ties or Akan ties, therefore. So mainly you always hear about Ashantis, but there are more. There are over 100. But Ashanti is like one of the main ethnic groups. And so they fall under Akan. So if you hear Fanti, Ashanti, those are from Akan groups. And the Akan groups consist of about 5 subgroups. There are several others. And then aside from that, you have Gaz. and so many other groups. Like I won't be able to name them all.
Yeah.
But what I am most familiar with and what I'm connected to, I've been adopted into into an Ashanti community. So here I'm an Ashanti woman. I belong to a community in the Ashanti region, Adan Wumate. That's a community in which I was given an Ashanti name, Nana Akria. And Nana historically is used as a sign of respect or among royalty, but now they also use it if you've done great things in the community. They've given you that as a sign, out of a sign of acknowledgement and respect. So Akria, the K is pronounced like a Q. It means that I was born on Wednesday, so that is my day name. And my last name was given by a queen mother, but I mainly just use Nana Akria for short. And so so I'm identified here as an Ashanti woman. Nobody really calls me Tiffany here, which is my English name. Mostly everyone calls me Nana or Nana. And Nana, many of us know of Nani. Now, Nani was an Ashanti woman, an Ashanti queen who was actually captured and enslaved, and we know the history in Jamaica. So most Jamaicans are actually descendants of Ashantis and Akans as a whole. If you look at the history and you'll see the similarities. And if you study slave records, you will see the similarities in the names and so forth.
So
why they brought so much Akan people to Jamaica.
Me quick call her Nana because Nani is really the English definition. So
right, so it's corrupted.
Yes,
like,
corrupted.
Use a lot of tree words. The language of the Akan people are Ashanti, TWI, we say tree. And so there's a lot of words in when we think we speak Patois, as Louise Bennett has taught us, and we think it's broken. A lot of it is not broken English. It's just a lot of the words have been corrupted, but they're actually the words from the tree language of our Ashanti ancestors.
The tree.
And so that is, yes, TWI, that is the name of the language spoken by the Akan Ashanti people.
Okay.
And so when people say you speak bad, no, there's no such thing. Patois is an actual language, and within that remains a lot of tree words. And so it's I came to realize that more and more the more time I spent here in Ghana, and a lot of things that we do, we might not even realize it came from our ancestors. Even the whole 9 nights when somebody died, that comes straight from our Ashanti ancestors. And so many things we do. Dukunu, which we eat, tire leaf, that comes from our ancestors.
Well on. All right, as you talk,
there's so much.
As you talk,
it would take so much time to explain it.
Hold on. As you talk about Dukuno, is it the same name them call it there, Dukuno? And would I like you explain or tell us a few of the familiar words that we talk here in Patois that you here, there in Ghana and could identify and say, wait, but that word there, we talk it in Jamaica and it means the same thing. Like Dukuno is one of those things.
Right. So Dukunu, we might it is a tree word and that we used to call tire leaf.
Yes.
There are things like for example, with a kata. The kata when you wrap your head in the countryside when you're carrying water, we used to carry.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We have to take it slow. Hold on a minute. That means me, I come from the Ashanti tribe as well, because when I grew up in the hills of St. Thomas, which is a maroon village, right? We used to cut the banana leaf and then we wrap it as a cutter to put we hood on our head that it give you a cushion like it, a soft cushion. That is how you use the cutter.
Right. They do the same here. Yes.
So the whole African practice and retention was always among us and still within our blood as a people.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that is kata.
Yes.
When you said tire a while ago, when you said tire leaf, tire, is the same kind of expression there, the word tire?
No, they say dukunu, but we say tie a leaf, and the reason why I think because we tie the leaf of the banana.
Yeah, but we just the language just sweet, me though. The language very sweet. We just say tire, and you listen to it, it sound kind of Africanish, tire, you know.
Yeah, the way so what happened is because of, a lot of words were corrupted, or when the enslaved went to speak the English, they were trying, the way we speak patois and the way we pronounce the words is because our African ancestors, they were trying to speak English.
Yes.
And so a lot of words, they couldn't say it. So it's the way they said it. You understand? So they're trying to speak in their mother tongue and then the English at the same time. And so that's where you have like some words. Or for example, a champong is a kompong. So there is a place in the Ashanti region called here they say a champong.
A champong.
But that comes from here. Yeah. So I've been to a kompong, or for the purpose of Ghana, I say a champong. And so I've sat with Kenrick and others I brought people to a kompong pre COVID, and the goal was to continue to bring people to a kompong and other maroon communities, not just in Jamaica, but throughout the Americas. Like I've brought people to maroon communities in Colombia, and so that they could see that a lot of things have been retained. Yet yes, we have lost some things, or some of it is not even lost. What happened is we do things without understanding the roots.
Okay, that's it. It. Yes, that's it.
So that yes, a lot of things we do without knowing where it came from.
Yeah.
And by being on the continent, it helps you to see that this is where it came from. We didn't really lose as much as we thought.
Yes. As I mentioned,
even the very, when this thing where we show a partner, it stems from here. They call it susu.
What do you call it?
All throughout Africa, there are various different names. That idea of coming together collectively and show your little partner, it's very African.
What they call it there?
They call it susu here.
Susu, yes.
SUSU. The same they call it the same thing in Haiti. In South Africa, they call it stokvel. In Tanzania, they have different names. In Nigeria, different names, depending on where you go. But the idea of pooling one's resources and coming together collectively is not new. We've been doing that all along.
Wow.
When people talk about the Chinese doing that, it's not new. So we did it in the form of partner, as we say, partner at Jamaica, And
if you look on partner, it is partnership. It is that communal living. You understand? And that's naturally naturally a part of us. And so when we see the economics,
it came from here.
Yeah. So the whole economic system of the world that exploiting us, right? And because recently we see some banks in Jamaica now take over this partner thing from us, you know what I mean, and start to do it.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. There's one particular bank, that supposed to be connected to it was once the building society. Now it is something else. We don't really ever call them name yourself because we're not getting on free advertisement. You understand? But them two have a partner system that they adapted from what we, the ordinary people, have been doing over a period of time. You understand? So you can see that African wisdom, African knowledge, African spirituality is what governing the world. It's just like in 7-11 when the Moors went to Spain, right, and educate them and civilize them and taught them, hygiene and all of the great things.
Exactly, but they're not teaching any of this in schools. They don't want to empower our young people. They don't want them to know the truth about themselves. So when they teach about Greek mythology and all of this, the Greeks went to ancient Kemet and studied with them and took everything and went back to Greece. I'm in Greece and they're having a tour and saying all this, and I stood up and I said, no, where did they go and get all this knowledge from? From our African people.
Right.
It didn't start here.
Right.
So it's unfortunate. that this is what if the educational system changes, or if we teach our children at home. A lot of things I know because I grew up with a grandmother who was a teacher in Litchfield. Miss Louise Edwards was the first person. The school is still there now. My aunt is in charge of that school. And she, from a very young age, she taught us to be very proud of our African roots.
Hold on. What's the name of the school? Make us big up your aunt who run the school.
So it's called Upper Litchfield Basic School. And
Upper Litchfield Basic School. And
only, yes. And now it is being run by my aunt, Janet Pinnock. And fortunately, for years, it's been my desire to have the school named after my grandmother. Okay. She started that school with her sweat and blood, and we used to sit on the you see when they have the block, she would have built it slowly, so they would have the block and put the board across. That was our seat. Yes. That's where she started from.
And that is an ancient African way of making
no help from the government.
Yeah. So even that,
there was no help from the government. So she did that on her own. Yes.
Even that.
But now,
just a minute. Let me just straighten what you said a while ago. Even that kind of seating with the block and you put a piece of board is something that we all grew up with. You know what I mean? Seeing these so you see the whole thing of this African principle, using what we have to create, beds, seating, table, and whatsoever. You understand? Yes. So you can see that Africanness within your grandmother. Want to bless up your aunt, you say, or your grandaunt, who is running the school now?
My grandmother, she's passed now. My Louise Edwards.
Yeah.
Everybody call her Miss Lou. She was the matriarch of the community. God rest her soul. May she continue to rest well with our ancestors. And now it's the legacy has been continued on by my aunt, Janet Pinnock. She's the one now in charge of the school.
Bless up Janet Pinnock. Yeah. Bless up Janet Pinnock. You have a piece of history there, so you must continue with that, right? Yeah. You talk about going to Greece, see? And I want you to just tell the people the many countries as a globe trotter that you have been through.
I'm sorry, say that again, brother. I didn't hear you.
I said you just talk about going to Greece. So I'm saying to you, just tell the people the many countries as a globe trotter that you have been to.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I haven't counted, but okay, put it like this. I've been to all the continents with the exception of Antarctica and Oceania.
Wow.
So I've been to countries within every continent minus Australia and Antarctica. I have no desire to go to Antarctica. I'm afraid of cold bad.
Right.
And then Oceania, I had plans to go there, but what happened was pre-COVID, that was put on hold after COVID. So I have plans because I want to go. We have descendants of African, like on Solomon Islands and places like that. I mean, or African ancestors in Fiji and places like that came out of Tanganyika. So I've always been, that's my last continent to visit. But yes, I've been fortunate to visit a lot of countries. And I started as a broke 19-year-old college student living on my own in New York City. I would work 2 jobs. When you're a Jamaican and them say they're foreign, Lord, it's not easy. So I would work 2 jobs and go to school full time. I have degrees in law and public policy. I worked with the Attorney General, and my last position was with the New York City State Department of Corrections, which I work for as a legal coordinator and hearing facilitator, where I assisted indigent defendants. So I worked in the legal field for many years, and at some point I was also a teacher. But I say this to say that I started very young traveling. I was the young 19-year-old girl with a big backpack on her back, and just my dad would say, "Lord of mercy, Tiffany, where you now?"
So you just get up
You
and
know,
start.
you'll be scared. I just had no fear. And you know, I tell people going to Paris for all $99. I'm one of those people who would seek out. I'm very resourceful because I grew up seeing in a community where I saw women who were very resourceful. So I kind of learned to make some out of nothing. Like for example, when I was in university, I big up to CUNY, all CUNY students, CUNY Graduate School, John Jay College, all the above, and the many other schools I went to in New York. When I was in university, I would do things like somebody have a party. You can make some jerk chicken. Yeah, man. How much make the jerk chicken, sell the jerk chicken. Somebody say, want a pudding? Me make a pudding, man. Type out paper, $3 a page, and type out the paper them, because them time the 20-page, 30-page paper. And me make me look at money and me stash it aside. So that also helped with my traveling and my living expenses. I'm a work, I'm a little job them and thing. I'm a work on campus. And I was always, I would like to say, a hustler. I grew up seeing my grandmother having our little shop, being a school teacher, taking care of everybody in the community, doing so many things. So I didn't even realize. I started seeing I know when I look at myself, I see my grandmother and all the other women in those communities in me, because that's what I saw growing up. So you become what you see, not what you're told.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm grateful for my those early years. It has made me who I am, and I've been fortunate to visit many countries, and that has helped me to enlighten me. You know, education is not simply about sitting in a classroom.
Yes.
I've been educated by being able to visit many parts of the world and sitting down and immersing myself in the culture. But there is nothing like Africa. Like I tell people, I've traveled throughout Europe, but there's nothing like Africa, despite all the shortcomings or or any issues. Overall, there's nothing like Africa. There's nothing like sitting with the elders. There's nothing like being adorning my beautiful kente. There's nothing like the African drums. There's nothing like African food. There's nothing like just being surrounded and feeling at home. And that's what I can say. When I felt at home, when I first landed in Ghana many years ago, I just felt at home.
Right.
And I started weeping, and I couldn't understand why, but I was overcome because I was home.
Right.
And then, you know, everything just started making sense.
Yeah.
And even though each African country is very different and unique, I feel at home everywhere I go on the continent. It is home.
Great.
And I'm not that I don't love Jamaica, because when I say that, people said, so I'm to Jamaica. Yeah, man, Jamaica has made me who I am.
Yeah,
but you know,
new experience.
I cannot explain.
You're return to the source that you originated, and you feel at home. One of my brethren, we have this group that we call Black Star Brothers, and I have a brethren who is listening now, right? His name is Daniel, and Daniel is asking if you know his good friend Louis Marshall. You know Louis Marshall? Louis Marshall, no, he lives here in Ghana? No. Because you mentioned New York City and the CUNY School, you know, so he said, wonder if you know his good friend.
Oh, okay, so he's in New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, the name doesn't ring a bell.
All right, you know, ring a bell. Anyway. Okay, no ring a bell. Anyway, now while we were talking yesterday, right? You know, we were talking about the whole concept of marriage. You know, I really want you to explain that part there, you know, the marriage system, you know, because it's really beautiful. It have been, and it's something.
Okay, so traditional marriages differs from ethnic group to ethnic group.
Yes.
And so certain things it differs from ethnic group to ethnic group. So I will speak on what I know as it relates to mainly Akans, like Ashanti and Plantains. So when somebody says, say a man come now and he wants to marry me, he must first perform what is called a knocking, meaning he must go and speak with his family members. They now must go to my people and request that my hand in marriage, essentially. So, and then from there they will see they will do their own research to see if it's coming from a good family, if this is good for our daughter. And there is something known as a bride price. They have different names for it. Depending on where you are here in Ghana, it's known as a bride price. And so the bride price is paid to the bride's family. So essentially, what it symbolizes essentially is that this man is ready. Most people think you're not buying the woman. Essentially, what it symbolizes is that you are capable of being a provider.
Bride,
you understand?
Bride
You are
price.
capable-
Hold
yes,
on.
the bride price. So that's what it signifies.
Good.
Yes. That you are now capable of taking care of this woman, that we are giving our daughter to you because you're capable.
Yes.
And that's very important, not just in Ghana, but throughout Africa. A man a man should be able to provide for his family. And if he's not be able to provide, then he shouldn't marry.
And the community decide that.
Yes.
And the community
Yes.
that decide that.
The elders. So when they go now to ask for her hand, then the elders will debate to see if he is fit to marry her.
Wow.
And then the father, along with the elders, the parents must agree, mainly the father, but they must agree to it or the marriage cannot take place.
Wow.
So even at my age, if somebody wants to marry me now, even though my father is in New York, they must get his consent. He must agree. If he doesn't agree, it cannot take place. That's for traditional weddings, marriages here. And then it's, after that, then there is a ceremony. And unlike what happens in the West, the ceremony is not might not be seen as lavish or by Western standard, but it's a beautiful thing. And it's not about it's so put it like this: when two people come together in Africa to marry, it's not about the individuals. You're marrying two families. So you have to understand that unlike the Western notion of marriage based on romantic reasons, Africans in general marry to bring two families together. It's about legacy and family and children. Yes. So the concept of marriage here is different.
The entire structure of marriage is not just me and you.
It's not individual.
It's not individual. It's a family. It's always a communal thing. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. In general, African societies are based on communal living. That is changed to a certain extent because of colonialism. But historically, all African communities are based on communal living. That is essential to their well-being. Family, living together with your grandparents, your mother, in one compound. Those things are traditionally very African, regardless of where we go. And if you don't understand the social construct, it's because we're supposed to help each other. Like in New York, you wouldn't have a single mother struggling with a child because there'll be many hands in the village to help that mother with the child. Do you understand?
Yes.
So the idea of that individual approach to everything is about community and family. That is the structure of all African families, which a part of the strategy of colonizers were to destroy that.
Wow. We are also simulcasting on Primal Media, right? And is Girl 77. How long has she lived in Ghana? That's the question to you. She has acquired the accent beautifully. Also does live in Accra, and yes, she asked that question. What is the healthcare system like there? Is there anything specifically?
What is the healthcare system like here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she asks if there is anything specifically that you miss in Jamaica.
So the healthcare system here, you have what is called free healthcare. They do have a health card for those who are residents or citizens. And so you can use that health card to get, it's supplemented by the government, but you still have to pay something. Most Ghanaians will tell you that healthcare here is expensive, but they have Ghanaians who stick to their traditional ways, of treating themselves.
Okay.
Traditionally, you have someone in the village that you would probably call a medicine man or whatever, who would take care of you if you're ill. However, for those in the cities now, they've become accustomed to the hospitals and the clinics and all of those things, just like what we have in the Western world. But it can be expensive depending on, for example, the other day I took my daughter, I thought she had malaria, so I took her to a private hospital, and by Ghanaian standard, what I paid would be very expensive. By my standard, having lived in the US and knowing how healthcare is, it was peanuts. You understand?
Yes.
So there are people who might compare it to the West and say they have better systems. However, I think for those who stick to traditional medicine, sorry, you cut out a bit. For those who stick to traditional medicine, on the continent, I think they do way better. But because of colonization, most people would rather go to the modern, private hospitals, so forth.
Okay.
But traditionally, Africans are known for using traditional medicines. Just like you grew up in Trelawney, my grandmother have a bush for this, a bush for that, it comes from here.
Aye, and you see, when we hear you talk about the whole village a while ago, back to the marriage system, and the community taking care of the children that, as you mentioned, pertaining to somebody living in New York and are somewhere in Jamaica here, and them have to be worrying where them children going to, and this new thing of daycare center and all of these things, you see where the community, go ahead.
So the community takes care of each other essentially. But that is in large cities like Accra, you might have daycare centers because there's such a large Western community here. But traditionally, no, Africans take care of their own, meaning even nursing homes, there's no such thing. You take care of your elderly. You take care, if a mother have a child, there are others in the community that comes in and allow her to rest and take care of that baby and help her. So the idea is that there's a village raise a child. We take care of each other. That's throughout, not just in Ghana, throughout Africa, historically. But when now you have these large cities there, then you're going to see some changes there.
All right, this is a question.
So
is a question. Yeah. Many people asking, this coming from Beverly. What role does the community play after two persons get married?
What role does, so if there's any kind of disagreements, you can't just walk away. You have to consult the elders. Everything is about consulting the elders. You're not of your own will. So if something happens or if there's any disagreement, you go before the elders and present it to them.
Okay. So
they're meant to be there to ensure, not just with marriage, but with any kind of disagreements, you would go and consult the elders.
So you can't just get up and just decide, say, I got divorce.
No. For those who do like civil weddings, yes. For those who don't stick to any kind of traditional ways of life, yes. But if you married within that council and under those traditional, then you must seek the elders. You can't just get up and walk away. If the man is abusive, whatever is happening, you must seek the advice of the elders. And for example, say even before marriage, if a man gets a woman pregnant, there's such a thing as damages. He must pay damages for considering corrupting that woman, giving her a child out of wedlock.
What? Repeat
so
that.
African, and it's not just in Ghana.
Repeat
it's
that
in
part.
South Africa.
Repeat that again. Repeat that. You say, just like how some man...
The man must pay damages for impregnating a woman out of marriage.
So some man in Jamaica, we just walk up and down and have a whole heap of baby mother without any trouble in Africa, not true?
Yes, he must pay that. It's considered irresponsible and you're looked down upon. So the idea of a man not standing up to his responsibilities are no. A man who doesn't do that normally run away and hide someplace where nobody knows him because it's looked down upon. So manhood here, men here takes real pride in taking care of their families and their children. It's everything to them. A man who doesn't do that is not seen as a man.
Wow.
And a man who doesn't do that or want to stick to certain Western ways, is not somebody that somebody would held in high esteem.
I have a brother who is from Black Stars, brother, is agreeing with you, say, because what him say, so she is right totally with that, that a man have to be, responsible. And if you not act like a man who is responsible, then you is not a man. You would have called in a Jamaica man too.
Exactly.
You're a man too.
Exactly. In fact, a man here will tell you, and this is the trouble if a diasporian comes together with a continental African, you will see cultural differences when it comes to certain things. And I've been in situations where I've like, oh wow, I didn't even realize. For example, I give you something simple. Your left hand is not used for eating. Your left hand should never be used for eating. Your left hand should never be used for greeting, especially an elder. Your left hand is meant for other things. Your right hand is used for food preparation and for eating. So if you extend your left hand, it's considered an insult.
Oh, the left hand used for other things. What into it? What the other thing with the left hand for use?
For hygienic things when you go to the bathroom.
Okay. So if hold on, sister. Because some people forget this, So your left hand, right? So what if you use left hand? What if you have somebody who use your left hand is a main hand that you're operating with?
That I think it's not. I haven't seen indigenous folks doing that. Okay. I've only seen people who have lived, diasporans doing that. Nobody bothers them per se. Nobody's gonna walk up to them. But I will tell you of a situation. I was in the mall the other day, and a gentleman I know came by. I had ordered some KFC because KFC here and in Jamaica tastes better than the rest of the world. So when the food come now, I talk to my daughter and totally forget. Yeah. And so I hand him the box now with the left hand. But I didn't realize, do you know the following day he said to me, "You offended me." This is why he refused it. But me concerned with a little picnic next to me. Mind you, I know this. Okay. So he said, I was offended. You offered me the food with your left hand. I said, oh my God, I wasn't conscious. My apologies. Something so simple. So African societies have a lot of things that will make you go, wow.
Yeah, so you'll have to just relearn.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I'm constantly learning.
Great.
I've learned a lot, but I'm constantly learning. And it differs from place to place. Yes. You have to just be conscious and be open to learning wherever you go. Great. There are times I'll be in Nigeria next month. I have to be conscious when I meet the king or the Oni, I have to bow. I have to remember that because it would be considered an insult.
Whoa. Bev Moonchild, Bev Moonchild is asking, what is the housing structure like? Types of houses, material used in making houses. We are talking about maybe in the traditional way.
Just like Jamaica. Okay, let me get that. Traditionally, they had like huts.
Yes.
With the mud and the straw. And people might think, it's a reason for those the reasons why they use straws and the mud and those things traditionally. It is a technique. Yes. Yeah. So the technique behind it is that when you use certain things, inside it of the hut would be nice and cool.
Yes.
And so there's no need for AC and things like that. So even in Egypt, when you see those traditional homes in the Nubian villages, I bring my people to stay there. Okay. And it's you will wonder, why don't you need AC inside? Why it's so cool? Because those people understood the architecture, why they built it a certain way. Yes. So homes were built using certain material to ensure your health because of health benefits and comfortability. So the homes now that they're building here are mostly like the ones in Jamaica with the block and the steel and stuff. But if there are communities where you still have those traditional homes, and you have diasporans who have come here and also have somewhat what they call now our modern huts, which have some sort of Western appeal, but they're still huts.
I would like a survey done on the people who live in the modern house system and those who are living in the traditional, and to see the difference in their health. I would really like somebody to do a survey on that. You know what I mean? Because
you know what I've observed, I haven't done a survey, but what I've observed, I think people who live those traditionally like that have longer lives. They have more peace of mind. They just have a simpler life, but I also think they have a better and a longer lifespan, from what I've observed. Because you'll go into those places and see people 99, 100 years or 110, and they're still walking and still okay. The way they eat, it's not just, it boils down to their diets, how they live. Everything is totally different. Unfortunately, we live in a world where now, regardless of where you are, that we have taken on Western ways of doing just about everything.
Yeah. My brother Daniel.
And that takes away from our lifestyle.
My brother Daniel, there are so many people interacting. My brother Daniel is laughing and him say, even when the female is on their cycle, there's things that they cannot do. I believe she cannot massage or touch the man when on their cycle. So you can't hold on to your partner like we see in Jamaica when you ride in the motorcycle.
Yes. So you're not supposed to cook. So you have to also remember also polygamy also exists here. Yeah. But the idea of and polygamy exists historically for many reasons.
Yes.
So the idea of not when a woman is on her cycle, she's not supposed to have anything with her to do even with cooking.
No, we're not.
That have changed some bit in certain places.
Another cycle we attack.
So the idea behind that is that when she if she cooks for him while she's on her cycle, this is what I've been told, that whatever powers that man have, especially if that man is somebody who practices traditional African religion, it interferes with that. That's what I've been told.
Okay.
Yes.
So even some of the thing that them have in the Bible, you realize those are principles, ancient African principle, and maybe people look down upon it, but and the Quran is the whole thing of taking care of the female.
All of those things are taken from ancient ancient civilizations. If you study Kemet, or one of the things I do, I go to Egypt quite a lot, and you will see a lot of what I growing up in a Pentecostal home in Jamaica, I'm not supposed to say that, but but I've come a long way since, and I've when you've been exposed to things and you've been enlightened, then you see the truth. So yes, unfortunately, a lot of things that you might see in the Bible, if you've traveled throughout Africa, and especially in places like Egypt, you will make the connection, and you will see that a lot of it came from there.
Yeah. More everybody, Orius girl want to visit Ghana. Tell you
anytime I can provide. I curate Afrocultural tours for diasporans in general, and I do usually put on my group tours, but I also curate tours for individuals as well. So I can provide my information, and and she can get in touch with me.
Yeah. But you told me yesterday some of the different rates and how you get people into Africa. You can share it here, we not charge you, you know what I mean? Because a station manager here maybe want to visit
in terms of flying. So this is the reality. We live in a capitalist world. That's the reality. And so because of that, coming to Africa can be very expensive. What I try to do, I create try to make it as feasible as possible for everyone. So I normally work out a plan where everybody has, we have like a payment plan sometime for example, I have 31 people going to Kenya in December. We started planning since last year.
Wow.
They have a 14-month payment plan.
Wow.
That 40, they put a deposit and they pay the little amount, like every month, little, and so that helps them. So yes, coming to Africa can be expensive. It is expensive. And so what I try to make it as feasible as possible with the payment plans and also with working with local vendors who understand the need for diasporans to return to the motherland. So I do group trips, but I also do individual and private. So if somebody just want to come by themselves, they can reach out to me. One of the things I do, in terms, one of the most expensive part are flights. So normally in our packages, we include domestic flights within Africa or from African country to African country. And the thing, however, from the US or from Jamaica, normally individuals book their own flights with guidance from us. And so the thing is, flights can be very expensive. One of the reasons is because some airlines have a monopoly. For example, Delta have a monopoly on flights to Ghana. They're the only ones who have direct flights from the US to Ghana and only from New York.
Oh.
And so because of that, they charge whatever. And so I've had to try to find ways around it. So normally I'll tell a client, if you don't mind spending, say, 11 hours in Addis Ababa, we can do Ethiopian Airlines. It would cut half of the price down. And you stay 11 hours in Addis Ababa, the airline will put you up free of cost, food, everything for 11 hours. And I've done it with my minor daughter who's 12. Another thing, or you use like Kenya Airways and stay like 16, 17 hours in Kenya and use that time to explore before you connect, say, if you're trying to get to Ghana. Okay. So I've learned to try different ways to get around paying a lot of money. Yeah. For example, in April, I paid $450 one way from New York to Ghana with a layover in Kenya.
Okay.
No, that doesn't always happen all the time. So I do what you call fear watch or fear alert. Okay. And I sign up so I get the alerts whenever fears are dropped. Okay. And that helps. Okay. But yes, it can be a little it can be a little daunting in terms of prices. Yeah. But what I do for folks who are open, because a lot of our diasporans, even though they want to come, they want to stay 5-star, 4-star, they want this, they want that. So that's a part of the reason sometimes why the price is high, because hotels, yes. So for those who want to stay locally, we have people. We have even a Jamaican sister here. Shout out to Marvel in Kumasi of Villa Sankofa, and she has a beautiful home there. She's from what that place in Clarendon? Lord, it missed me. Little Rock. Lord Jesus, it's a place in Clarendon. Anyway, she have a Airbnb in a villa. It's a villa, but she rents it out for those who want to use it for their stays, and it's reasonable as opposed to staying in those 5-star Western hotels. Yeah. So a lot of people like that. If villages, you want to stay in the huts and you want the real experience, no problem.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the majority of diasporans, for example, when we go to Egypt, I tell them, you have to spend one night in a Nubian village, just one night. Why? You must experience life with your indigenous people. You must, with your brothers and sisters. Yeah. And outside of that, they have all 4- and 5-star hotels. Do you know that there are people who say, oh my God, what is it like? We don't want it. When they get there, it's like, oh my God, there's no this, there's no that. I said, no, this is how they live historically. And do you know the irony? After they spend the first night, they don't want to leave.
They don't want to leave.
On the Nile, they're looking out. Yes.
Nobody no longer a 5-star hotel again.
Yes, them looking out and them say, boy, Tiffany, I'm sorry, I was against some cry, some hug me. Thank you for making us do this. Yeah. When the elders come out and I don't know if you've seen videos with us where the elders are welcoming us into the Nubian villages. Normally, that one makes everybody cry and emotional because you feel so, you're home.
Yes,
and
yes.
they normally refer to us as their distant cousins.
Okay, beautiful,
So,
beautiful.
so experiences like that where they're immersed into the culture, they're living like they're staying in places like like the indigenous population. It just it changes who they. So even those who put up opposition to, okay, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that, normally walk away with a different perspective and feeling like, okay, it's not what I thought, but I really enjoyed. It was an enriching experience.
Our
And so
station,
that's what why I aim for.
our station manager Julia Benaya, she interested in the safari, or is that you got it to the safari?
Safari. Yeah, we do a lot of safaris mainly in East Africa, Kenya and Tanzania, mainly in Kenya.
Yeah.
If you want to do safari, no problem. I'm going to give my email.
She says she loves the safari.
My email and my number, and you can reach out.
All right. You forward an email to the Fit FM and WhatsApp number that you have there, that,
Yes, I'll be sending all that information.
Yes.
So that you can put it up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could play a piece of music.
In fact,
we'll take a break and come back. We could just full joy this. This sweet, so, knowing that you're upon the motherland.
Okay.
So we're going to play a piece of music and come back. We give thanks that the internet are well up nicely too. Yes, Mama Africa. How are you doing, Mama? There are so many beauty. Peter Tosh sings some serious thing. There are so many kingdoms. There are so many joy. And just talking to the sister, Nana Akua from Ghana. from Top Trelawney to Ghana, and we're just feeling the energy, the vibration. You don't know the joy that you are just radiating over here from Africa, my sister. I am just feeling like I'm there with you, right? You know, it's just it's a beautiful vibration, and you know, it is good that we can have radio programs like these, you know, that we can make that kind of connection, you know what I mean, to the wider community, as we say, on this station, from the home to the community to the wider world. And it is more, you know, sweeter when we are connecting with people who left from Trelawney now in Africa, you know. The station manager is inquiring of you if there is any similarity, you know, up at Litchfield and Ghana where you are, if you find any similarity.
Oh man, Lord of mercy.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Like when you go to the market, Lord, when you go into the villages, when I growing up in Trelawney, in Litchfield, wake up in the morning, pounding up the coffee beans, carrying up the water, you know, the roast yam, you know, you can't come from Trelawney and don't like yellow yam. Even up to this day, I will kill for a piece of yellow yam.
Yes.
So, you know, the lifestyle, the lifestyle in general in Ghana reminds me of Jamaica as a whole. And that's, and everywhere I look, I see Jamaica, you know, and so that's one of the reasons I feel at home here. In terms of rural, in terms of Litchfield, yes, when you go into the rural communities or the villages, yes, very much so. Yes, it is home.
Yes.
And when I see the ladies sit down in front of the bath pan and let them between them legs, those moments, I just shake my head. I wish my maternal grandmother was alive, you know, and witnessed me coming to the motherland. You know, unfortunately, she passed away before. But one of the things that sustained me is knowing that she would be proud of me. I remember growing up, she always encouraged me. And, you know, she was one of those women who, you know, speak life into children.
Yeah.
There was a lot of us grandchildren, you know, the parents would be in like Spanish Town and Mape and everybody at work. But it was a lot of us grandchildren. Sometimes I'll find her with the palm bed asleep. You understand? So I grew up in, we didn't have a lot, but I felt rich, the richness of growing up in a home where I felt loved and nurtured. And this woman, the way she spoke life into us, we felt we could do anything.
And you know, see, manifest here because you are doing so much, you are doing anything, you know, just to hear that fearlessness in you. Just get up, you know, at 19 and just at trotting through the world, you know, globe trotting. What a joy, and find yourself where you finally feel like, you know, here is home. And enjoying and full joy all of that. You know, it's a beautiful thing, you know, and that's why we must always salute our elders, you know, and see the whole principle of your grandmother, you know what I mean? You know, enlightening you that much from
that
an
is
early
very
age.
important in African culture. Saluting your elders, that's why they do libation. I've had people say,
going to the libation.
You pour libation to honor your ancestors.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's very much important in Africa. Like your elders, your ancestors, it's important.
Yeah.
You know, and so being here, it just, you know,
Yeah, and libation, because we see some of our people do that here. Yeah, all right, I'll share something with you. When I was growing up, my step-grandfather was a Caramante priest, right? And one of the things that he used to do is like, when he get into that transition to communicate with the spirit, he would light in that throw some rump on the ground and then would light it and watch it till it burn to a particular color. I believe it go down to like a purple bluish it, and then he would rub him foot over it, and then him start to talk some different language, talking about a follow and issue of fana. Me don't know them language. I believe Ofana was the machete and issue was something like the water. You know what I mean? And what he was doing at the time you know, is expressing a kind of African spirituality. See? Now, the whole concept of that kind of thing that you expressed a while ago pertaining, you said something, it just missed me, you know, I don't know why I mean I think. But the whole concept of that kind of spiritual expression is to connect, yes, the whole thing of libation. Then there's an aspect of it where, you know, just pour the thing in as we see them do it, yeah. But also put the rum or whatever in the mouth and they would blow it to the four corner, like spray it out. You see that happening in Ghana? Just put the whatever liquid, whether rum, we notice it mostly rum, you know, and they would blow it out.
Yes,
with the wind.
they do that. They do that. They put it in the mouth. They then and they also pour from the bottle. I've seen both.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, great.
Like during a naming ceremony or
Yes.
any kind of marriage or any kind of ceremony, you would see that.
Okay.
You must, because the idea is you must always honor your ancestors. That is, you know, and one of the things that modern religion has done is try to strip Africans of their traditional ways and beliefs. No, before I say anything else, with regards to Christianity, yes, Christianity existed on the continent before the colonizers, but not the Christianity that they have used now
Yes.
to oppress our people. So I want to be clear on that. Because if you study Ethiopia, you will see that it was there before them.
Aye. And that's it. Is sometimes when we talk about Christianity, people believe that we are bashing Christianity, but we are talking about Western colonization, the type of Christianity to enslave and oppress people. You know what I mean? We have a principle, and if you see the whole principle that you are expressing, you know, in the village, you know, how we take care of each other, the whole principle of pouring libation or blowing out the rum, which is a form of libation or whatever, for the ancestors, honoring them. You know, there's another thing that we experience here, that whenever you cook your food, right, you must share out some and put aside for the ancestors first before you start to partake. Have you seen any of that kind of practice there?
Yes, they normally have like altars where they say they're feeding.
Okay, it's the same thing.
It's a way of feeding them. So I haven't personally done it, but I've just seen snippets of it. Again, there's a lot of things I'm also still learning.
Yes.
Here on the continent, you never stop learning because things differ from group to group.
Yeah.
And they do certain things for various different reasons.
You met anybody from Chulani there? I know you meet anybody from Chulani?
Oh, I want to give you a joke. About 2 weeks ago, Lord have mercy. Sorry, just to get to the part. About 2 weeks ago, me at by the way, plenty Jamaicans there. There's a place called Jamrock, and the owner is Jamaican. I think they're Jamaican and Ghanaians. Anyway, they've been around for years. And so we go there. They have a live reggae band Friday night. I mean, I see a group of people, and me always curious. When me I listen to me here, so accent me here Caribbean, and then we find out there's a whole group of them with a tour company named Country Yard or something, and then come from Jamaica, Barbados, all over the Caribbean. So me ask somebody when to listen to that, me I talk to everybody. We go over there now, and I start talking. Let this man him say him name what? I think Willie, and he come from Falmouth, and he own a plaza. He was living abroad and he's now back in Trelawney, and he own a plaza out of Falmouth Square. And I think he said, anytime you come back, woman, tell anybody, say I look for. I think his name is Willie, and I him own the plaza out of Falmouth Square out there. So.
Okay.
I was shocked to see from Trelawney.
Yeah,
right here in Ghana. I said, you know, me there a tour out West Africa. There for like 3 weeks.
Great. Hope we
I
can
can
meet.
like your cream catch a fire. When you see another Jamaican, now you act like you know say.
Yeah, I know. Say you're up on the continent, and you know, say you're not alone there. It's a joy.
I think yes, his name is Willie. He said, me are the one who own the plaza out of Falmouth Square. If you come there and say the man who own the plaza, everybody know me. I say, all right, man, then me have to come look for you. I said to me, he said, we just left Togo, man, and we there Ghana now for a little while. But at 3 weeks, we have tour around West Africa, Nigeria, all over the place. He said, I was so happy.
Ah, great. We're happy to know that. You know what I
And
mean?
he said, yes. I said, literally, I'm
Yeah.
probably like 2 people.
Yeah. No.
You know,
Yeah.
always. And this is the thing. Jamaica is a place that I've been throughout the world, and I will tell you this. There's no explanation for Jamaica. I remember I was in Athens, Greece, and this lady was like, when I said, you know, even though I've lived abroad, this lady said, when I told her I'm from Jamaica, she started screaming,
Mhm.
I've never had to explain. What people in Jamaica should understand is that Jamaica, because of the culture, the music, the people, we're known worldwide. I've gone into the most remotest places in the world. I'm in Qatar. I've never had to explain where is Jamaica, what is Jamaica. Some people do Hussein Bolt, they do the hand move, they can't even speak English, or you know. But once I say Jamaica, they're so honored. Some people just want to take picture because they come from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want our people to know that there is something about Jamaica that makes people very happy and proud, and you know they want to be a part of. And I've never in Egypt. You see the little Philfaluka boat them on the Nile. You see the Jamaican flag from them. Here in Ghana, you'll see the Jamaican flags on the buses.
Yeah.
But this is what you should know about the Jamaican flag. The Jamaican flag is an adaptation of the Ashanti flag. And if you study historically what the Ashanti flag looks like, it's the exact. And if you study symbolically certain things about the Jamaican flag, if you know anything about Adinkra symbols, then you will know. So even certain things that adorn our homes, those are Adinkra symbols from the Ashanti people.
Whoa.
You know, like there is so much.
There's this sister
H.M.
Shishat, listening from England, you know, and she says something about you describe kukuku. A kukuku? What is kukuku? Did you say something about kukuku?
So say that again, please.
There's a sister from England. Her name is H.M. Shishat. She said you said something about kukuku. I didn't hear that. You explained something about kukuku.
She said I said something about dukunu.
Okay, a dukunu you talk about. Yeah, she didn't hear you clearly. It's dukunu, my sister. It's not kukuku. It's dukunu.
Oh, dukunu. Oh, yeah. Okay. Blue draws. Tire leaf.
I will call it tire leaf here in Jamaica. Okay. Yeah. See, brethren from.
Yeah. So in Ghana they have two types: the one that the sweet one, like how we do it, and the one that is not sweet, that they eat it with like fish.
Okay.
So it would be kind of like tonka meal. Tonka meal kind of yes, so, like that.
So what then call it tonka meal? What then call it?
So I'm saying it's kenke. So there's the dukunu that we eat.
Yes, is
similar to the kenke. It is actually kenke, what they call kenke, but they also call it dukunu.
Okay.
So depending on which ethnic group you are speaking to, they might say dukunu or kenke.
Kenke.
So here you have the sweet one made by the Fantis, or you have the ones that they eat with the fish that would most likely resemble what we call tonka meal, but they do it in the form where it's rolled. And put in the banana leaf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, bless up some people who listen. We listen. Blessing up Shango. Bless up Shango if I'm not the market. Me know you listen. Seeing it's a man who now left out Fit FM. Bless up Milton Booth over there in Maryland. Bless up. Diana Wright. Bless up yourself. You know. Diana Wright, you know, she loves Ghana and she's planning to move to Ghana as well. You know, I hope she'll listen to this program. But you know, we're happy, man. We're happy that we have you and know that you are a native of Chilani and you are there on the motherland. And expressing so much, pertaining to, the culture and the whole aspect of spirituality. A whole heap of man in Jamaica where have a whole heap of baby mad about the place and them thing there, see? And you mentioned polygamy and say, boy, that is something that practice there. You have any knowledge and we could have shared that some man that know say, boy, it's not, we just have a whole heap of woman or have
polygamy,
3 or 4 women.
A very sensitive subject, especially for diasporans. And with my Trelawney people I'm listening, they might rebuke me.
No matter, we are talking the truth. We are talking about what is. Whoever want to rebuke.
So historically, polygamy is practiced throughout Africa. However, that has changed to a certain extent because of colonialization and the adaptation of doing things the Western way, so to speak. But it still happens. So the reason for polygamy is not sexual, like most Westerners would think, have nothing to do with sex. The reason for polygamy is about building families. And in times where there's a shortage of men, it ensures that all women have somebody.
Oh,
you understand? It's not the thought
Julia?
process that we have nothing to do with sex.
When it is because of the shortage of men, it makes sure
this,
say you share a man.
It differs. Let me give you an example. In Senegal, you have polygamy, which means you can marry as many wives as you. Okay, this is their system of marriage in Senegal. I'll use it as an example. So you have right. So first, you can choose to monogamy, and now this must all be documented.
Yes.
Because if you choose something and go back on it, you can be legally responsible either by the elders or the courts. So I will use Senegal as an example because they're well known for that. So you have monogamy, which is one woman, one man.
Yeah.
Then you have limited polygamy, which is a man can marry up to 4 wives. Then you have polygamy, which is you can marry as many wives as possible. Now, understand this. You must be able to take care of each wife equally. So, and no, you don't all have to live together. You can live in individual homes.
Okay.
Or you can live on a compound, everybody together as an extended family.
Yeah.
But the concept of polygamy is about extended families in Africa. Africans don't think individual. Africans think family, community.
Wow.
You understand? So it's not about sex. And I speak also from personal experience. It's not about that.
Yeah.
And so one might say, I think because you have socially in the West, it's like, okay, this is my man and he's mine and, and that's it. But it's because you're thinking of it in a sexual way.
Okay.
Polygamy in the African sense is not about sex.
Okay.
No.
What about the queen or the woman who want to marry more than one man?
So this is the thing. In some cultures, say, for example, you have a first wife and you need to take another wife. In some cultures, the wife must agree. In some cultures, she doesn't have to.
No, I am talking about the woman who decides she wants to marry more than one husband.
Oh, that is polyandry. And that happens in places like certain ethnic groups in Ethiopia practices polyandry.
Okay.
No, polyandry, whereby she can have more than one husband. Yes, in certain parts of Ethiopia, that is not widespread throughout Africa. That is just among certain ethnic groups. So yes, that happens there. No, understand there are rules and rules that govern these practices. It's not just you just get up and you just want to jump on somebody. It's not. No. I know we think sex, but it's not. That kind of rules that govern how you can, how you're supposed to. Sorry.
It is not about promiscuity.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know once we hear that, we are thinking, it's just like upping from what? No. There are rules that govern how you conduct yourself among each other. And if you have several wives, they must all be equally taken care of financially, physically, all of that. So it must be where you're in a position to do so. If you're not, it would not be, those elders will not agree to such a marriage.
Aye. And there you go again. It is the elders, it is that communal living, it's that order. You know what I mean? And that is what colonialism, that is what the Western world destroyed. And that is what they don't want for us to
Right, because
return to.
traditionally, remember, Africa is built on kingdoms. You have
Yes.
kingdoms throughout, and in each kingdom, you have men with many wives, and they had children, and everybody lived together.
Yes.
That historically is Africa. However, what you find happening now, you will find continental Africans arguing over this because many have now become Christians, or and that's not, and so they will argue against anything traditional and
No.
tell you that that is not how it should be, because they've now been taught that anything historical or anything traditional is wrong. You understand?
Evil. Whoa.
So yes,
Whoa.
yes. Yes, and you have situations where, because of that, some men hide and have many wives. They're not supposed to. And then what happened is at the funeral when he dies, that's when everybody show up and they go, "Oh my God!" So my girlfriends in Senegal, they like to give me the joke like, "Oh my God, this funeral happened, and oh my God, he had more children," and that kind of thing.
Whoa.
But yeah, historically polygamy is the African way.
Yeah.
And coming from a woman, I'm what you would call an independent woman. I'd say I would say that having been exposed or to different ways of life, I'm not tunnel vision in how I view life or see things. So I don't judge. I understand this is how things are, and I'm open to
life.
to seeing things from different perspectives.
Yes, yes. And that is that is the liberating way of living. I mean, you don't just see everything through one lens. You see things in a broader spectrum, that you can have clarity in life, you know what I mean? And rather than seeing something as evil and demonic, and and because I met some brethren from Israel, Hebrew Israelite, who I believe they went over in Israel from America in the 70s. They developed a community where that's what they practice. I met two of them with them 4 wives come here to Jamaica. The 2 of them come and they have them 4 wives. Each one of them have 2 wives and many, many children. And you realize that is one of the most vibrant community in Israel right now. Some Black American call themselves the Hebrew Israelite. I don't know if you've ever been to Israel.
Yeah, a lot of them Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah.
They go to Israel. And,
Yes.
But yeah, so as I said, here on the continent, it is not unusual.
Yes.
It's not unusual at all. And I want to give you another little joke.
Yeah.
They are diasporans who themselves are in polygamous relationship here. You would never know, Jamaicans, African Americans, but it's not something they broadcast because it might be frowned upon from where they came from. You understand?
So them just hold it on that low profile. Yeah.
Yes, because it's different way of life, and people would look at you with 4, like you have 10 heads.
Yeah.
So most people tend to keep that private.
Yes.
And again, it's not about sex, and you'd be amazed to see, like even the women, say 2 women are married to the same man, sit down talking.
Yeah.
And normal and eating together, and you'll be wondering, is this normal?
And enjoy.
I remember the first time. I'm going to be honest. The first time I was in Qatar.
Yeah.
And I remember it was I was staying at this hotel, and I went to have breakfast, and a man was sitting with his 2 wives, and he was feeding them, and I was so.
That is
yes.
That is kingly,
I sat there, and I remember I'm trying not to stare to be obvious, but I thought the woman was going to go and get his food, and he came back with the food, and he was feeding them. And I said, Lord of mercy.
Well, my sister, I tell you, we full enjoy this program so much. I hope next time we can have you back. The internet keep up, and I believe
Absolutely.
it. And
I'll be honored.
yeah, but with
Yeah, man.
with the
I'll
talk
be
to
so
the
honored.
with the
Yes.
with the talk to the ancestors, you know. Remember we talked from yesterday and say ancestors, you are going to take care of that, and them don't let we down. You understand? They
Yes,
transmit it
because
through the
normally
universe.
a lot of problem with connection. So yes, we
Yeah.
took care of it.
Yeah.
Before we go, I just wanted to say the company, my tour company is Globetrotting Sisters LLC.
Yes.
And I've shared the information with the upcoming tours where
Yes.
we'll be going to. We have tours that have already closed out for 2023,
Yes.
with the exception of Kenya. We still have a few slots for December,
Yes.
but we'll be going for 2024. We started releasing tours. We'll be going to Senegal. We have 2 tours in Ghana for next year. We have Egypt. We have Morocco. And so much more. We're still in the process of release Ethiopia. So anyone, whether you're in Jamaica, in fact, I've had people travel with me from England. And I have people travel with me from Ghana, and I have people travel with me from the US, and I have people that come from the Caribbean and travel with me. So you don't have to be, you can come from anywhere. Suffice you can get to that country, and we take care of everything from there on.
All right.
Yes.
We'll pass on the information for those who are interested to go with you. We give thanks, my sister. It was a joy having you, and you're
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure having you. You were so
No love, no blessing.
Love
All right.
Yes. Yes, it is the community buzz, and we talked to Nana Akua, over there in Ghana. Seeing, aka Stephanie Lynch, you know, them deliberate no one call her no Stephanie, Lynch, because you see all the last name, the Lynch, the boy Willie Lynch. But we give thanks for our sister, I know that she's a Trelawney native, and this is Fit FM, the Trelawney station, on the World Wide Web. We give thanks to the people who move a Primal Media, www.primal4k.com, the email, and all the people who or interacting over there, we give thanks to the people who tune in from England, we give thanks, to my brethren Daniel, we give thanks for the whole interaction. And we bless up my brethren Shango again, he's a man we always like it, I know him go see me and say, yo, me enjoy that program there, See, and we bless up all the people in and around the community of Trelawney, support the station because we are growing and we are doing great things, and we want you to be a part of this movement, So we say until next strong with another positive vibration, another program. We are about to enlighten and educate our people, and things that are happening around the world, and want you to be a better person than you was tomorrow. Yeah, so lift up yourself, and keep moving on. This is Fit FM and the community buzz with Aymara, the musical revolutionary. Our producer, Julia Needle Benaya, seen over there at the control tower. So, next, strong, love and light.